Well, glory be and mercy me, you're seeing me with the sun up. You're gonna see my face the whole video. I'm so sorry. Look at this hair. Isn't this absolutely just getting to be the most ridiculous stuff you've ever seen? So, the topic of today's video, why are there homeless people? Why are there homeless people? Why are there homeless people? Any society that actually cared about its citizens would be addressing what is obviously a crisis for a person. It would be first and foremost thing that we would be paying attention to. There are people living on the streets. That's obviously a crisis. That's obviously a problem. And the solutions that we have come up with are ineffective. Shelters are ineffective. Food banks are ineffective. Why do we know they're ineffective? Because they don't actually get people out of homelessness. They don't actually get people into the wider society. They don't actually become productive members of society. They're just spending their lives dealing with the crisis of homelessness that they are afflicted with. And the traditional response by us has been this personal responsibility riff. They should just get jobs. Okay? So there's two massive problems with that line of thinking that needs to get us through it, needs to get us out of that trap. And it is a trap of thinking, which people should just get a job. Well, first of all of this money has pooled underneath the billionaire class, right? And the billionaire class doesn't need that many jobs. There's less people with more money and more people with less money. So even though there's work to do, right? You can see it on your streets. You can see this place needs painted, that place needs fixed, this needs done, that needs done. Well, the billionaires don't care, right? The people who actually have the money, who could actually afford to hire people to actually do this, right? They don't care. They're not interested. And they only need so many material items. They only need so many televisions. They only need so many pairs of pants, right? And if the populace doesn't have the money, which they don't, and if you think otherwise, you're deluded. If the populace doesn't have the money, then they're not going to be able to pay. So who's paying for all these jobs, right? Problem one. Problem two, saying just get a job completely eliminates the reality of what's happening. Like, people living on the streets, some of them are disabled. Some of them are literally on disability, right? They can't work. They can't get a job because they're disabled. Or on top of that, like, you're talking about people who, like, have been abandoned by everybody because they don't really have the capacity to be able to communicate. Like, they're not people like me, right? They're fine, lovely, wonderful people, but let's be straight. Like, they're simple. They're simple. God has said to them, you will be looking at the world through the eyes of a child for your life, and that is what it will be. And who are we to then turn around and say to that person, oh well, God has said that you can't work, but we insist you do. Oh, it's despicable. That's despicable to say, right? And so what do? We abandon them. That's obviously what we've done. They can't work. They literally can't work. And so once you get to that point, and you realize, like, oh, the society has been structured to abandon people systematically, right? Systematically, we abandon people. Oh, well, something must be done. We've got to do something. But you know what the real problem is? There's a real problem. You know, let's say I really did want to help these people. Let's say I was, a conservative or even a liberal type who looked at these homeless and went, oh, I'm sympathetic. I'd love to help. But you know what? Who's gonna pay for it? Who's gonna pay for it? Where's all the money going to come from to help all these hopeless and helpless people? Oh, I can't even fathom it. And on the grift goes, and it's a grift. Because guess what? When you actually get down to the brass tacks, when you actually get down to the numbers, when you actually take a look at what's going on, it would be cheaper to give homeless people houses and feed them than it is to keep them on the street, right? Food banks aren't free. Administrating police services, emergency services, right? Administrating shelters, right? These places aren't free. You pay taxes, they go to these places. They're not free. And if you actually look at it and you actually crunch those numbers, guess what? It would be cheaper to just give these homeless people houses and to feed them than it would be to keep them on the street. So that, and you can thank the Food Banks of Canada, by the way, for figuring that out. So, by the way, when you actually run these numbers and you actually think about it, you realize, oh snap, we're paying more to keep people homeless than it costs us to keep them on the street. Sorry, I said that wrong. We're paying more to keep people homeless than it would cost to get them in a house. We want them to be homeless, right? There's no more excuses. Like, there is no more excuses. And so the only thing that's left, the only position remaining to these capitalists is that they want people to be homeless. And I've put a lot of thought into what that means, right? That they're not considering homelessness and these things as incidental, as accidental, or even as individual problems, right? That they accept that their system creates homelessness. They are fine with it creating homelessness because ultimately homeless people scare the hell out of the working class and keep them in line. And incidentally, if any of this is wrong, guess what? You can fix it. You know how you fix it? You support a basic income, or hey, even you want to be even more rudimentary, literally just give homeless people houses. There are 5 empty houses for every homeless person. Why are we building more houses? Why are we putting resources into building more infrastructure instead of just taking the homeless and putting them into the houses that we have? I mean, we all know what the answer to that question is, because it doesn't make money for the sociopath class, right? It doesn't make money for people who don't care about human life. And that's all that matters, is the money. And so they'll happily keep somebody on the street. They'll happily keep somebody on the street while they cut funding to the arts, while they cut funding to education, while they cut funding to any social system that actually prevents people from ending up on the street. And then take that money and give it to the police so that they can go harass homeless people, right? So that because they know they're paying more, because to them, paying more to keep people homeless and have a police force that harasses the homeless is a service, because it's about the power, that they are willing to pay that little bit extra in order to have the power, in order to feel good about themselves, in order to shit on a class of people who are being systematically abandoned by the society, so that workers who are just one rung above those people will be absolutely shit-faced terrified, right? Absolutely terrified. Like, the next rung up from that are people who do have a job. This is what's crazy. There are homeless people with jobs, right? Saying to a homeless person, just get a job. Some of them have jobs. How do we know that's true? Because we have the report from the long-term care homes, right? How did COVID get into the long-term care homes? Oh, the people living in shelters have jobs at those long-term care homes. And so they go to the long-term care home, then they turn around, they go back to the shelter they live in. And that's one step up from the homelessness after they've taken the advice of these conservative types who have said, get a job. Well, they have jobs and they're homeless. And you're paying more to keep it that way. You're paying more to keep it that way. Happily, by the way, I might add. If you actually cared about having your taxes lower, if you actually cared about spending less money on taxes, well, you would give homeless people houses. It would be cheaper for you. But if you're a capitalist, you want it to be that way. And you've created this fictional ideology of a death cult to maintain it, right? And let's be frank, and I've been saying this over and over on this channel, capitalists are death cultists. They are willing to sacrifice human life for money. They are willing to sacrifice your life. They are willing to enslave people. They are willing to completely deny it and completely delude everybody about it and completely lie to everybody about it and pretend as though it isn't happening. These people are sociopaths. They want people to be homeless. They want people to be on the streets because that's capitalists' art. Capitalists don't fund the arts. They don't give a shit about the arts at all unless it's the homeless people. And homeless people are arts for capitalists. Every homeless person you see is an art piece from the capitalist class. It's a capitalist saying to your face, "I do this to you if I could." All right, guys, this is going to be the end of me. I'm going to get better at self-promoting myself starting right now. If you're at the end of this video and you are not subscribed, subscribe. I do this every single day. You're going to get this kind of content. I am an anti-capitalist, would be the softest term, let's say. I'm actually a communist. Subscribe. Please subscribe. If you hit the like button, you're telling the YouTube robot to send my thing around, so please make sure, just ding that little button so the YouTube robot will send it around. But what I really care about is if you share this on your social media and you share this around. That's the #1 way to spread it around. Word of mouth is the #1 way. The next time you get into a conversation with your communist buddies or your leftist buddies or your lefty buddies, even your liberal buddies, be like, "Hey, there's this guy on YouTube that you should listen to," and that would be me. This is a growing channel. I'm hoping to grow it more, and finally, because the goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers right now. I just hit 100. The goal is to now get to 1,000, because once I get to 1,000, then YouTube will start to monetize the videos, and then I can actually do a living doing this. And this is what I'm doing while I work a full-time job at a toy store. Imagine what I could do if this was my full-time job, and that's exactly what would happen if it was my full-time job. And then the final thing that you can do if you really genuinely want me to do this full time, my Patreon is in the description. We gotta start doing better than this, guys. Like, we gotta start doing better than this. The conservatives and the liberals have abandoned us. We are living in a state of abandonment. The homeless people that we see on the street are the canaries in the coal mine. These are the first batch of people who have been abandoned. The next is the precariat, and then it's going to be the actual working class. And it's going to happen at a rapid pace, because as climate change moves forward, we just need to take a look at what happened during this COVID crisis to see exactly how the capitalists are going to react during the climate change crisis. They're going to abandon large sections of the populace. Any benefits or help that they give to the populace, they will quickly take away, exactly how the CERB worked. And they will just watch the devastation unfold from their palace atop the hill, exactly like the liberals do, right? The liberals are sitting around doing absolutely nothing about the largest crisis in their country, while Doug Ford passes restrictions that don't exist. So we got to start doing better. We got to start figuring this out. We got to start organizing, and I am hoping to be a lightning rod of organizing, because I can't take looking at these homeless people anymore. Like, they shouldn't be there, right? That we should create art to replace them. The street corners that the homeless sit upon should have art, should be beautiful, should be full of life and laughter, should inspire us, should be something that we are proud to look at, instead of averting our eyes. And I can't avert my eyes anymore. These people need help. It's obvious they need help, and it's obvious that capitalism has failed them. We need to help them, and we need to do it by getting rid of these capitalists completely, because obviously they don't give a shit whatsoever. All right, like, share, subscribe, hit all the bells, hit all the whistles, do all the things. Make this my full-time job, guys. Make this my full-time job, because this is what I do, and I will happily do it all the time. I love you all. Go have a drink, go have a smoke, do all the things. Kiss a giraffe, high five a monkey, do all the best stuff. Yeah, good luck. We're gonna need it.